Hmm.
Oh, they said they were having trouble with StreamYard said it was having trouble with broadcasting stuff through Stream. They were working on it on the back end. I got a banner came across my thing when I logged in.
StreamYard wasn't working for you?
It's he said that they're having trouble propagating streams, so maybe that's what we're running into here.
Okay. I can't. Yeah, I can't see. I can't see YouTube right now. Twitter is up though.
Okay. Oh, we're
That's
up
too
on
bad.
YouTube. I got it. And I got it. It's working.
Oh, great. Okay,
What's up,
we're live.
guys?
Hey guys, we are live. I'm very happy to be here with Axis. Hey man, how you doing?
I'm doing good, buddy. Pleasure. This is our first time meeting. It's already feels like there's a nice synergy, and I'm happy to be here on the stream with you. I'm coming into this interview as a previous skeptic of Jake Sharp and the Titan X project, and I know that you building on that with Dragon X, which is your protocol buy and burn like protocol, doesn't
Yeah.
define you as a developer, and that you're very multifaceted. And so I just wanted everyone to know that going into the stream. And I'm very excited because I think you're. Well, I didn't know much about you until recently, and the more
Okay.
I've heard from other people, you're growing on me, and I feel like you're a very diverse and talented young person, and I'm just excited to get to know more about you and your projects and what's to come. From how you're seeing the evolution of DeFi and gaming and buy and burn tokenomics and tech inside of DeFi.
Thanks, brother. No, I appreciate that. And yeah, I'm trying to reach out to as many people in Hex and Pulsechain as I can. Like that's actually where I started my DeFi journey was with Richard Hart in 2020. It was early, maybe March or April, that I got into Hex, 2020. And yeah, that's where I kind of learned everything about crypto that I know was through Richard at first. So yeah, I tried to imbue as much of my knowledge into the, basically I brought a lot of that into the Titan X community to create this store of value for Titan X. And so the ethos of Hex is embedded in Dragon X, and it's now part of Titan X. So
You just want to do like a quick, brief, just discussion. It doesn't have to be much, but just what is Titan X and how does it work, and then how does Dragon X amplify the future of Titan X?
yeah, so
For the
Titan X is it's a mineable token that users come in and use ETH for, and that's the distribution mechanism. So the token is basically fair launched. Anyone who has Ethereum can come in and mine for up to 280 days as a way to earn tokens. And after that mining period is over, effectively there was a large number of rewards in the beginning for miners. So what that incentivized was a large number of people to rush in and mine the tokens. And now that adoption phase occurred, the next phase of Titan X, now that the mining phase is effectively over, is build on Titan X. Build on Titan X is basically a way to bring utility to Titan X while burning Titan X tokens, which makes them more scarce and hopefully will affect supply and demand and drive the price up. It looks like that's happening now. So we had this dead period where effectively the supply was minted, but the build on Titan X protocols hadn't really kicked in. But now sentiment is shifting, and the bull market is starting to warm up a little bit, and you're seeing all these different apps that are running effectively putting buy pressure on the price, and now the price is starting to react to that.
Yeah, and I mean, it wouldn't be fair to not, like, I think for most skeptics and haters and faders of, forget about, forget about the founders in this case and just look at like the stats. Like if I pull up a screen share here, give me just 1 second. You guys gotta see this. Like when you look at Uniswap, there's like 500 ETH backing the value of this Titan X alone. And so that's obviously going to have spillover into things that's built on top of it.
There's more than that. I think there's, if you go to stats, there is.
You want to pull up this screen share that I got? This is just the 1% ETH Titan X Uniswap pool. Just this one.
Oh, the Uniswap pool, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so it's got a 1.7 million TVL, and typically what you see on a cryptocurrency is you usually see that all this thick liquidity that's in blue would be ask side liquidity. So that would be, and this is how it was before, this was all Titan X for sale during the hyperinflationary period of the first year, but that's all now reversed, which is interesting because on this particular pool, which is their main pool on Uniswap, you could see that the Titan X for sale, yeah, there's a little bit here, but then it just drops off. So there's definitely like a supply squeeze going on in terms of like overhead liquidity available for purchase. Whereas like there's all this bid back here. I mean, this is like a 500 ETH that's scattered. I mean, I'd have to figure out wide this range is. But then even if you just look at the price chart, so there's some things that's brewing in the price chart that I thought was pretty interesting too. Is it did this kind of like bottoming pennant pattern and it reversed price and then squeezed and broke out. To my surprise, I thought maybe we'd get one final push down here on Titan X, like
Yeah.
somewhere around here. I thought we'd get one final push down to lows and then it would just harsh reverse, but we didn't get that. So that tells me that whoever was mining the longest actually does kind of have some bit of faith in this, and dumping wasn't their number one priority. So that's bullish. Now I would caution people. I don't want to go too far into the TA quite just to push people into a bearish mindset, but it does look like that this could set up for a short-term bearish divergence. Just so you guys are aware. So if you are interested in this protocol, you could make like a slightly higher high on here on Titan X, and then the MACD would still not make a new high, so it would do this bearish divergence, and then you'd get a chance to buy it on a higher low, something like this. So just be aware of that. It doesn't make it good or bad. I'm just saying that this is what I'm seeing potentially playing out here. But under the conditions of this like very low sell side pressure, I mean, unless somebody comes in and market dumps, the price won't go down. So that's a Titan X mojo.
Cool. I like that. And the buy and burn is also backing this, right? So there's how much is in it right now? There's 1,000 ETH in V2 and 4,000 ETH in V1. So that's not represented in the liquidity pool, but that's effectively buy pressure on Titan X. And that's just Titan X. That doesn't account for the 1,000 ETH coming in from Dragon X onto the Titan X chart.
So this would probably be a good place to segue into buy and burn systems and just like kind of the different ways that people are pulling this off. So in this case, Titan X, what is it? 68% of the ETH that goes into mine gets put into a pool, and then a portion of that's put into the global buy and burn, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's something like that. 60 something goes into the buy and burn. Effectively, it's a contract that just releases the Ethereum, and that market buys the Titan X off the market. And the rest goes to stakers and Genesis. So yeah, and there's also an option to turn on the burn pool, which if that's activated, then users can be compensated in Ethereum for burning Titan X. But that's not activated right now, so it's all going to buy and burn.
That's interesting. That ends up becoming like a self reinforcing loop eventually when the market conditions are right to turn that on. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
You would want to do it now because you want to get as much Titan X off the market as you can, would be my assumption.
Right.
But it can potentially be turned on in the future. I mean, the thing is that the build on Titan X stuff is working out so well that you don't even really need to turn that on to effectively burn Titan X, because people have found other ways of burning. One particular way is to do the Dragon X Vault, which I think is more powerful, and I think I've managed to convince.
Yeah, you want to touch
on that fighting. What's that?
You want to touch on that a bit?
Yeah, sure. After a lot of fiercely fighting for this, I think most people have now come around to using the Dragon X Vault as the way to burn Titan X. Effectively, what that means is that Dragon X has a compounding restaking mechanism built into it. So anybody can take Titan X and they can put it into the Dragon X Vault, and when the stake function is called, that Titan X gets max staked forever. And it can never be withdrawn from the contract. It just gets restaked over and over and over in perpetuity. So effectively, it's burn, but rather than simply burning it, you're also giving more ETH to Dragon X, which burns more Titan X off the market.
Right. So it's over time. It's just accruing more and more share of the pool of rewards. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. And so that basically builds up the buy and burn for Dragon X, which pumps both Dragon X and Titan X. So it's like you're burning you're burning more than you would burn if you just burned it directly, because you're also basically creating another burn through in the Ethereum. So
this came up on my monthly AMA last night, was this concept of like with Pulsechain, for example, as a coin that did a buy and burn. I don't know if it was first. I'm trying to think who was the first token to do a buy and burn.
Probably BNB.
BNB did a buy and burn first.
Yeah, they had but it was centralized. So they had huge buy and burns.
Interesting. Okay, so we're taking a lesson out of CZ's book. Okay, so but this concept of buy and burning tokens is kind of like there's like 1,000 ways to skin a cat, right? In this case, like you could do a lot of different things. So in your case, the capital goes into like a staking pool, and then that staking pool just grows proportionally against the user supply, so that it reduces everyone else's payout, but just creates this massive rolling of rewards that basically makes the reward system deflationary over time, which means there's less over pressure long term, which should be reflexive, and you should see a price increase because of it. And then then there's other systems too that have come along, and this is kind of going to be really interesting to talk about. And I'll talk about one that's on Pulsechain. It's called PTGC. Have you heard of those guys?
Yeah, I have.
So in their system, they take PTG, and I know you probably know this already, but for the listeners, they take their token, and every time that there's a send or receive function that's called, there's a certain 5% tax that's peeled off, and then what it does is it takes that and it splits it into different segments, and each part goes to a different role. Some of it goes to a DAO, some of it goes to, and this is the part that I find interesting, some of it goes to buy PTGC off market, automatically bond it with some WPLS, and lock that in a liquidity pool so that the liquidity pool is feeding into itself forever based on the transaction volume. And because we know there's a lot of arbitrage bots on Pulsechain, those bots are effectively, without any human intervention, always constantly trying to rebalance all these connected pools on their liquidity web so that it increases transaction volume theoretically, and especially during high volume periods, and then always feeds value back into the base LP pools, which is cool because this was kind of something that the Wise token failed on. So, I don't know how much you guys know about the Wise token, but that was a token that was like a Hex competitor that launched back in the early Hex days. And they took a bunch of ETH in from a raise or from a initial period, and then they locked it forever in the pools. And so that those pools, what ended up happening was, Richard Hart was actually pretty effective in messaging that this and all their copycats were just trash. And so what ended up happening was all of the Wise holders just kept dumping their Wise for years. And so if you look at the Wise versus ETH price, it's just down like this forever against ETH. But inside that pool, there was never enough supply of Wise out there to extract all of the ETH that was locked away in the pools. So if you look at the pools today, I looked at them last night, there's $80 million of Ethereum paired with $80 million of Wise.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like 30,000 ETH that's stuck in there forever. And I looked at the outstanding amount of Wise that's left. And so the users only hold $3 million of Wise. 97% is locked with that 30,000 ETH against it in a Uniswap V2 pool. So it's basically whoever's got the $3 million, it's their little personal piggy bank forever, but they'll never be able to fully extract the 80 million that's in there. So it's think of it like dead money that's way over collateralized. So that ETH got wasted effectively.
Wow. Waste.
So the thought was well, how could you learn from that? I mean, the good thing you could learn from it is, look, they found a way to make the ETH pool grow to a tremendously high number that was way over collateralized. But then the question is okay, well, how do we not run into the problem where we run out of supply so that you can never tap into all that liquidity or make use of it? And so I think the PTGC guys have figured out a system that may solve for some of that, and how they're feeding value back through the web, and then they're paying some sort of rewards to their stakers or lockers or whatever they want to call them.
But Alex, just 1 sec. I think I screwed up and I did safe for kids or something, so now people can't chat, which is so stupid. This is the most annoying setting because it's so vague as to whether it's what the hell does safe for kids mean.
Do you want me to put up a chat or something on Telegram we could have them talk through, or do you just want to?
Yeah,
is there a way to change it while we're live?
I'm trying to get the stream settings in YouTube. Sorry guys, 1 second. Let's see. Can I change it now that it's live?
I don't know. I would say no, but I hope yes.
Sorry guys, 1 second. Let me see. I think chat is a really fun part of this. So.
It's important. Yeah. I would say no, but I hope yes.
Edit video. Let's have a look here.
So as you're looking for that,
not made for kids.
Yeah.
What does that even mean, made for kids?
Well, the kids that watch Baby Shark, their parents put on Baby Shark, and then it just loops through forever. Then they would land on our stream, dude. You'd be educating 5-year-olds on buy and burn tokenomics.
Apparently, they're not accredited investors. Clearly. Okay, so now chat should be working. Go, chat, guys.
There we go. Awesome.
Attack people.
So I
cheap
think
chat.
just to round up my thoughts on this whole
Yeah,
buy
go
and burn
ahead.
thing is there's like a million different ways that you can execute a buy and burn. And I think the most wasteful way would just be to literally, I shouldn't say that in all cases, but in many cases, there's way more productive things you can do with the coins that are being burned away rather than just like completely locking them away and then putting them in a place that they can never be accessed or used as liquidity.
Yeah.
Like at a minimum, and this is kind of like one of the pitfalls of Hex in some ways, and maybe in other ways it's going to be end up being a strength, but like all that Hex money that's like locked up in a stake out in the future, it's just dead. It's vaporware. It's not being used. The only thing you could argue is that, by the way, I'm a huge Hex holder and still a fan, and I still think it has massive upside. It's backed by a billionaire, so it's like it's fine. But my point was that all that money that Hex that's locked away into the future, like it's not being used, it's not deployable, it's just ghost money, so they're virtually lending their ability to sell to people that are liquid now. So like for the cost, you have to do a cost benefit analysis of if you're going to hold liquid Hex, you're getting inflated against, but you can sell at any time, whereas like the guy that's staked long, they're safe from getting inflated against, but their capital is like not being used, except for what you could argue is virtual lending. So anyway,
That's a good point. I mean, I think the only one of the most sensible interpretations of Hex is that it's virtual lending, effectively. The problem with that is that the collateral you're putting up is extremely volatile and based on a basically future that is extremely unknown. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, and so then you see protocols that try to build on Hex, like icosahedron, or this new one, Hex One, that's trying to do a collateral-backed stablecoin, which is it's based off of 15-year. So you can only use 15-year Hex stakes to back the value. But without when that was originally presented to me, there was no liquidation engine. So then obviously there would be no way to have the stablecoin that's minted off the value of a future Hex to hold its peg, because there's no system in place to gut check if there was no liquidation engine. So we had to tell those guys to go back and redo it with a liquidation engine to even have a shot of, because the speculation between today and 15 years from now is just so much that's where that volatility element comes in. It's just like chaos, right?
Yeah, I mean, effectively, you do have you have a derivative on Hex Max through that contract. What's that called? I'm blanking on the name, but there's Defi, Lucky, those. They created those Max 555s and issued tokens for them, right? So you can trade effectively liquid, but it's not stable. But yeah, I mean, I feel like it was a missed opportunity to bring more value into Hex by having Pulsex. I think Hex should have been the token for the Pulsex exchange.
Yeah,
I just feel like that would have been such a powerful addition to Hex to have buy pressure.
Yeah, dude. What is so okay. We're not but that's super smart, and I agree with you. But who's to say that at some point, and this isn't my idea, this is a person that I really respect, this is their idea, and I think that this might be the outcome. But so you guys will be hearing for the first time, I think, this other guy's idea, who I don't want to name right now, that thinks that PulseX being net deflationary and rarer over time and having that buy and burn element could at some point be paired with Hex. And so that in such a way that there's so much bonded liquidity between them, because you could basically create a Pulsex Hex farm in the ink farm and pay this exorbitant amount of ink yield to the guys that's providing in that pool to source all of the Hex and Pulsex from the market and lock it in this thing. And so if Pulsex is going to continue to be bought and burned and it's bonded heavily with Hex, theoretically that Pulsex could act like a magnet that's pulling Hex up with it in a more direct way. It would have been better if Hex was the token, but in this case, the only other way you can pull this off is through that bonded liquidity, I think.
No, I hear you. Yeah, I mean, I think my personal 2 cents is a direct buy and burn would be more effective, not only because of the direct economic energy, but because of the speculation on the fact that this buy and burn is perpetual, and it adds a lot of confidence to the system. But I hear you. I mean, there is burning in hex through penalties, so the effective inflation is quite low. It's just you are concentrating that inflation as time goes on, but it's fine. I mean, something needs to kick. It feels like something needs to kickstart the system. Maybe a hex wallet that burns hex or something. Doesn't need to be a lot of burning. It just needs something to kickstart that system to bring confidence back in the game theory behind it. But yeah.
It's curious, like looking at it like this, like this is totally ripe for opportunity for somebody to build an add-on protocol that's going to do this and do this in a good way. I mean, it doesn't have to come from Richard necessarily, but if the incentives are right and you do something for the first time in an innovative way, there could be a way to get a buy and burn put on hex, which leads me to my next talking point. And I don't know how much you know about the Communist token, but it's a hex derivative, and it basically represents a tokenized T-share. It's rewarded in two payouts. There's a start bonus and an end bonus, but it's really heavily weighted towards like max length stakers. A max length staker gets like 50 times the amount of communists from their staking commitment as like a guy that goes 10 years, for example. And then anything less
claimable by all hexagons, or no? You have to create
That's right.
stake.
That's right, and you can claim it at any time.
So I can claim communist because I'm a dolphin. I'm a
Yes,
high-level dolphin.
you should be considering that, because communist is up like 31,000% against hex since the launch of Pulsechain.
That's nice. I didn't check this thing out. I probably have a big bag.
Well, so this is going to be something that we'll talk about in the green room about why it's near and dear to me. But yeah, the dev is an absolute G, and he figured out a way to basically put a burn on hex through an incentivization model. Basically, like 2 days ago, a hexagon staked 12.5 million hex for 15 years. It was about a $58,000 stake at today's price. And he got back 351 trillion com, which was roughly about $4,200, I think. So he got like an 8% instant rebate from the start payout for making a 15-year commitment. And so you can see where this is going.
Yeah.
The higher the com price goes, the better the rebate is. The more of an incentivization you have to go stake your hex long. So imagine a world where you get half your money back in com immediately upon staking 5555, and what kind of a permaburn or temporary permaburn that puts on the hex supply. So if you could pay people enough to go lock up their shit for 15 years, theoretically, you could do a sort of burn. It's not permanent, but it's going to put a definite squeeze on the supply for the near to midterm.
Yeah, I love that. But what is the incentive for communist token to go up?
Because it's ultra scarce, and because this is what's interesting is I think once hexagons understand that it's in their best interest to hold com and make the value go up, the more that automatic marketing would kick in. And so this is the part where everyone grapples with com, that like it's just a useless token that has no value, that why would anyone ever hold it, or why would anyone ever buy it or push the price up? And I think where I've landed on that is it's pretty basic. There's so few supply out there. Like, to just think about what I said. Somebody staked 58 grand at today's prices to get back $4,000 at an 8% coupon rate. Well, do you understand how many hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars of value would have to get locked up to be able? That guy auto dumped, by the way. He dumped that right away, and it pushed the price down 10%. But the price is still up 30,000% because there's a class of users called the quad fathers that's absorbing all of that supply at every level.
They're buying it?
They're buying it, yeah, and they're hoarding it. So like the top 50 holders have 67% of all of the com. Yeah, because those guys tend to think that if it's adopted and used properly, this would be an effective way to make their hex more valuable, because the rebate's going to be more juicy, which is going to make more people want to stake longer, which is going to burn more hex for longer. So it's kind of like a self.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. I just feel like it needs the final value loop to keep the price going up, because then that would be really, really powerful. I can totally see what you're saying.
And it would probably not be that hard to add something like an additional contract on top of it to make it do what you're saying, right? It would not take much else. So definitely ripe for the taking, I think. In my case, like I'm just hoarding it because I can make a market. I can make money on fees. I could create a 2 flux pool where it's a balancer pool that pays an extra incentive, like really high APRs, just to put common liquidity pools.
Mhm.
And there's a really brilliant guy named Johnny Sachs that did all the mathematics for how you could calculate the maximum liabilities and where marketability meets market um, where you get the most marketability at the highest efficiency level, so that there's a certain the market's going to stabilize at a certain coupon rate where I don't know if it's 25% or 30% or 50%, where you're getting the maximum amount of onboarding possible at the lowest cost in liabilities to the common hex holders, basically, if they're just auto dumping, for example. And then you're always going to have people that are going to believe in the system, and it'll, as sentiment increases, that they'll hold for longer and want higher upside. And I mean, it's already did a 31,000% against hex, so it's like already proven that 67% is held by the top 50. So I think it's like in a sweet spot right now where the next wave of people that gets it and adopts it is going to be in a good spot. So I definitely encourage everyone to go take a look at that as a method for helping hex get more scarce.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
Communis.app. I'll put the thing in the chat.
Yeah, I have my own ideas as well for a burning token that would also pump hex.
Hmm.
There's a lot of potential with hex because there's so many users, 300,000 users, and there's some cool stuff you can do on Pulsechain. Yeah,
Yeah, they're to that comment about the user base being big. I'll go on Twitter and I can make posts all day long, and I'll get anywhere from like 3,000 impressions to 9 to 10,000 impressions. But as soon as I do like a hex cash tag in it, 13,000, 20,000, 30,000 impressions. Like it's night and day. The hex tag is powerful, and like there's definitely a community that's very much alive out there for hex. And I think it's just a matter of time until that bootstrap happens again, that the ignition switch gets flipped on for hex, and it's just going to turn into like its own automatic marketing machine because of the time lock component.
How do you think I can better reach hexagons? Because I mean, like, how many people in Hex know who I am? Because I've been tweeting nonstop at hexagons. I'm going on streams with hexagons. Like, are there any groups of people that are waking up to Titan X and Dragon X over there, or not yet? Is it too early in the bull market?
Well, so I think like this is probably one of the breakthrough moments for you. It's just like us streaming together is probably a huge piece of that.
It is, yeah.
And so now people are going to become aware of you, and we can get into the other things that we're working on with the solid index and stuff too. Look, my message to the community is Eric is not a one-trick pony. Of course he's going to love his baby Dragon X and Titan X, and they are proving to be every day more of a solid system that's going to be here for the long term. So that's you can't deny that at this point, even from a price or liquidity perspective. So the data is there that says, okay, whatever you think about the founder of Titan X or whatever your withholdings are, the data is there that says that Titan X is here to stay, and Dragon X is overperforming Titan X, and it has interesting tokenomics. So if we can agree that Eric solved for something that's powerful and useful, why wouldn't you want to take a guy like that's that talented and use him to create cool stuff for Hex, cool stuff for Pulsechain, and to create potentially more revenue streams that funnels in money from other chains into our blockchain? Like that's the whole goal that the solid index guys are working on in conjunction with Eric, to try to figure out how do you accrue more value from everywhere else in crypto and just feed it into the Pulsechain ecosystem, which ultimately helps your hex bags.
100%. Yeah, I think that's the shared vision of both Dragon X and Solid X. And I've had a lot of conversations with Firewhale, and we both want to bring real utility to our projects. We both believe in bringing in outside capital and not circulating the same capital over and over. This game that we're launching with Solid X is going to be huge. We're really excited about it. Actually, we have a preview app is in the hands of Firewhale right now. So, and we're talking to some designers about just polishing things, but we're very close. And yeah, it's that idea that like, it's not enough to just launch a token. You need to, it's 2024, it's not 2021. You need to have real utility. You need to have burning. You need to have top tier tokenomics. But if you do that, you can really outperform. And I believe that. And I think Dragon X is a good example as well. We're up 10x over Titan X, and
That's
we're
right.
really just getting started. We have some crazy stuff planned. And when I was talking to you before the stream, the number of projects that are now building on Dragon X is half a dozen projects are building on top of it because it's deflationary. People really like that. I think especially Hexicans will understand that inflation can hurt a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you were probably there when the big dumpers were coming out. And I mean, I'm fully staked. Like I have thousands of T shares, and you know, I was just exit liquidity all the last bull market.
Yeah, a lot of us were.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm a Hex guy and I'm a Pulsechain guy, and I'm also a
I think that was really good though that you just said that, because a lot of people would not know that about you, that you're a dude, you're a dolphin in Hex. That's, I mean, that's pretty awesome, right? There's not many of them out. There's like less than 800 dolphins out there. So that's guys that are committed to the Hex system, and they're like myself, who's building, trying to find, well, how can we make Pulsechain and Hex more valuable without directly pumping money into it on our own, which wouldn't fucking move the needle anyway in a lot of ways. Like, you got to be bringing in like 7 figures to even really start to make movements. And if you were locked out of your capital all last cycle, you're not really in as much of a position to do that, especially because we're all competing for resources at the lows here, where it actually makes more sense to accumulate as much of the other RH assets as possible while everything's liquid. Because eventually all this stuff's going to get really, really scarce. So anyways, everyone's kind of looking for a way to make the system more valuable. And that's awesome that you're a Hexican. Really appreciate that and give a nod to that. And I hope that you're as enthusiastic now as you were then, and seeing that this is possible. Like, we could see Hex hit levels that we should have hit last cycle that we didn't hit. And part of it's
I think utility is the unlock for that. Like last cycle, all we had was really Hedron, which was great. But like, I think I hope that Hexicans can bring the build on Hex ethos back. Like the build on Titan X ethos, bring that over. Like I would love to launch something on Pulsechain for Hex.
Yeah,
Like, that would be great.
Yeah, so what can I say to the viewers is that there's always discussions that's happening from people like Eric, like myself, like Crispy Man, like my dev, about how much opportunity there is to build something amazing for Hex. Like, I thought like a non-chain level thing that was awesome was Hex Scout. I thought Hex Scout was an amazing thing that we needed for Hex. I don't know if you've played around on there at all, but it's just a front end that is a beautiful way of representing your Hex data and stakes, and it tracks everything really nicely. And you can mint, you can stake and unstake your Hex stakes through there, and it auto mints your Hedron for you. And I think we could use a COM integration, but generally, like, that was like level 1. Level 2 is creating front ends that actually reward and incentivize users through additional tokenomics that's built on top of Hex. Yeah, so there's definitely things that are happening that's not just Richard, that are the conversations that are going to be had. I wouldn't be surprised within a year to 2 years you'll see cool new contracts getting deployed for Hex from users.
Yeah. No, I mean, if if the Zen situation taught you anything, like you can bring a ton of people in with an app, and Titan X did the same thing. Like, you bring them in with the mining, you have all these Hex miners, and then you build utility on top of that, and you have an instant user base, right? So that user base is really valuable to a new creator, and the Hex community is pretty welcoming, so it's really an underutilized ecosystem. Whereas Titan X, people are launching a ton of apps, but it's only a fraction of what the Hex ecosystem size is. So it's really this massive untapped ecosystem where if someone launches a killer app on Hex, it's going to be very popular from day one, and they could take a dev fee. I don't think anyone would really care if the devs get adequately compensated. So you can have this massive user base. I mean, you could have a user base like the size of all of Titan X, like pretty fast, if you had the right YouTubers behind you.
We may actually be digging up right now the what the next year is going to look like for Hex. We might actually be like unveiling for everybody this next gold rush, which is basically Hex does actually take a stab at being a legitimate world currency. And what that's going to look like is the Titan X devs, the Zen devs, the communist devs, like all these guys that are building around tokenomics, they're going to come together. They're going to have used all these other systems as test beds, and somebody's going to come up with the ultimate app, the killer app for Hex, and it's going to be amazing. I know,
Yeah.
and once one launches, it's just going to be like the next thing's going to launch, and the next thing's going to launch, and we'll see, what stands. But I think ultimately Hex wins in this endeavor because it's going to get even more scarce at a faster clip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Very
the t-shirts are
interesting.
getting pretty rare now.
Oh my God, Crispy Man from Hexfire.io talks about this all the time. There's only, I think there's less than, I want to say there's less than 25,000 T-shares in the year 2039. So there's no, in order to be a Poseidon, you just have to have a 2,500 T-share stake. To be
Really? Okay, then
Poseidon
I
in
will be a
2039.
Poseidon.
That's right. So yeah, it's totally on tap. So if you think, Richard's, ecosystem is going to live, and even if it just does 10x, right? Whatever. If it's going to live, you staking long like that is going to outpace the debasement and inflation of your fiat currencies. So that's kind of the load end target, is like, no matter what we make, like you and I make, and what Richard makes, as long as it outpaces the inflation and debasement of your currencies, and then maybe does a 2x over that, I would say, you're still in a better position than if you didn't participate in cryptocurrency.
Yeah,
So it's
it's
a
a good
pretty
point.
low bar to hit. You know what I mean? I think we could do
Yeah.
better. I think we could do tens of X's, right? Maybe even
Have you
hundreds.
looked at the TA for Hex? Like, how is the chart looking in terms of like price
Yeah,
stability?
it's looking a lot better. In the question of like the why it doesn't look better is probably just because the sellers are getting completely exhausted. Let me share my screen. I did a chart on let's see if I can find it quickly on and posted it on my Twitter. It's not really TA per se, but I'll do the TA after this. But this is just really interesting. So I did like, is Hex finally making a rounded bottom? And this is what this is. This is the entire eHex history, but at the point of the fork, you actually just viewing. So at this point here, it switches to just pHex data.
Okay.
So it's effectively if pHex existed forever, and you can see that we're getting this nice curve, and we're double bottoming here currently. And hopefully this is it, guys. Hopefully this is where Hex starts to make its next leg up, get rejected, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. Then we're off to the races for the bull. I don't think that, but in terms of time, this can all occur. And I mean, this could be
it's
2 years of just getting back above this 12-cent level, depending on how Pulse is performing, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think Richard's return will probably put in a low or put in a base at whatever price X is at. Like, you probably wouldn't see that price again after Richard comes back, would be my guess.
Yeah, and also other thing too that's important to note here is, like, look how well Hex stored value. Like, this is still a $440 million market cap of just user supply. That's
Is
not
that
the OA.
EX?
This is pHex.
Okay.
So this chart this is all the eHex data until the fork, and then this starts just only being pHex price data from that
I
point.
get you. No, I guess, okay, because the diluted market cap with all the OA coins is a lot higher. It's been the billions.
Right. This is only the user supply,
Okay.
which is pretty amazing if you think, like, after this 99% drawdown or whatever, that we still stored $440 million of market cap and value. I mean, only on a 2x back to a penny or whatever, you just doubled that to $1 billion market cap. So it's,
Yeah.
I think Hex proved itself. I think Hex is here to stay. Once it bottoms, it's going to be pretty violent, I would say, to the upside. Yeah, you're going to have sellers at every level, but it's going to be met with increasing demand as sentiment gets good and Richard's back in full force.
So we should talk about a hex cabal, because there's a lot of stuff I would like to build on Hex to get Hex to the moon, as well, to help you guys out and for my own bags.
Yeah,
because I have really heavy bags. I'm probably like last time I checked, I was in the 300s, but that was like a year and a half ago, like in terms of holder, and I'm probably in like the top 200 holders now, or whatever the very top of the dolphin stack
you
is.
might. Yeah, I was gonna say, if you're a high dolphin, I mean, you're gonna start to touch potentially into like shark territory after the next year or so, because of how much on this route back. So this is kind of my thought. I'm cool, dude. Where I'm in, like, I want to build on Hex. I'm in. But my point was that when we come up here, like, you know, you're going to get a lot of emergency end stakes. People are going to quit, and that those guys that stick with it, like if you're a dolphin now, you could, and you're in the high dolphin, you could end up being pushed into this shark bracket.
Yeah.
So if you have more than 94 million hex staked, I mean, you become a shark. And by the way, this is obtainable. Maybe not for everybody, but if you've been in crypto for a while and you have bags of crypto, I don't see why at least you're able to hit this dolphin level. I mean, these were like multi-million-dollar bags at the last peak, this dolphin level.
So
But
market cap. So is that the for the average dolphin, or is that the total economic value amongst all dolphins right there in market cap?
just what the minimum is to become a dolphin.
Minimum. Okay, minimums. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. I'm almost a shark.
Yeah. So, you know, if
Wow.
I'm looking at Eric as a hex shark, I mean, it's in his best. Look, if he's proven himself with Dragon X, and he's almost a shark in hex, then clearly it's in his best interest to build on this thing and make it more valuable. Right.
Yeah,
So
agreed.
like this is exciting. And I think, you know, this is something people didn't know about you. And I think this is a start of something pretty magical, probably. So
Yeah, for sure.
feeling very
Yeah, no,
fortunate.
I mean, I'm a big time Mexican man. So I would really like to work with you guys, and I hope you guys can also recognize Dragon X, because honestly, so much of the Dragon X design and so much of where I arrived was due to my knowledge of Hex, man. Like basically, I came to Titan X, and I saw the ecosystem, and I saw how the mining was dragging the price down,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw this staker class that was extracting Ethereum.
Mm-hmm.
And I put my Hex goggles on, and I was like, okay, I saw this game before, like the stakers extracting value by dumping, but now it's Ethereum. I'm going to create the God whale effectively on Titan X, you know? So I created this giant decentralized staker that just continually compounds and recompounds his value back into Dragon X and Titan X. And that was kind of the inspiration for that, is like, and I understood that the staker class, and having a staker class and a mining class is like, it can be negative for a project, because you get these animosity between the two groups, you know, you get
Interesting.
animosity among stakers. So there's no staking in Dragon X. There's no inflation in Dragon X. What you see is what you get on the market chart. And then you pair that with an inflationary token, which is what we're launching next. And you get, see, I learned this from Hex. Like, if you look at Richard's very old streams when he was still calling it Bitcoin Hex, you'll know that his idea was, what if we take all Bitcoin is mining and consensus and game theory, right? This is from his words.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do is we separate the consensus from the game theory, and we have a pure game theoretical system, right? But in order to do that, you need penalties, you need inflation to incentivize people, right? You need these lockups, and it has a problematic aspects to it. But if you separate the store of value aspect from the adoption and inflation aspect, I believe that actually arrives at a token economic system that is almost as good as Hex. Because you can still say, okay, we have 40% APY, we have 80% APY, right, through a compounding system. But that it's accruing to that deflationary system. It's accruing to the value system. That's being bought and burned, right?
Gotcha.
So you decouple those two, and you get something that you could potentially see higher price performance, right?
Yeah, I look at this like this type of a system as like a magnet that's not managed by a human,
Right.
that just grow. It's like your robot god whale that just grows and grows and grows, and it pulls it. So because these systems are reflexive, the price reflects the scarcity element and the recompounding of that robot god whale, basically.
Exactly.
And I think you've nailed it. I think a lot of people, not a lot, but I'm sure there are other smart people like us that are coming to the same conclusions of that tokenomics didn't end with Hex, but that
Right.
it opened the door to all these other emergent properties and systems that could be built to amplify Hex or to build in parallel. And I think all these systems just accrue value over time with utility.
Yeah, I mean, here's a couple of parallels to Hex that I think you might find interesting. Like, because we're separating that store of value, right? So this compounding protocol, it's compounding and it's reinvesting that into Dragon X. So imagine if God Whale's position in the pool was tokenized and the value was accruing to that token, right? That's what Dragon X is. So you can almost think of it like TitanX or this new mining protocol, by the way, that we're launching. I'm not sure if you knew we were launching another one, but we're launching it to be closely coupled with DragonX because of my knowledge of Hex and trying to separate those two concepts. So, but effectively, DragonX, that's like the T shares of TitanX. That's where the value accrual is, right? That's and the inflationary tokens that are built around it are basically bringing adoption and they're bringing value accrual to this deflationary token. So DragonX is like the T shares of the system.
Let me explain that for people. So the reason why he's saying that is because the total supply of DragonX only drops in the same way that the T-share rate only goes up.
Exactly.
So they're inverse of each other. Yeah.
Exactly.
Same outcome though.
Yeah. Perfect way of explaining. Yeah. And we even have big payday events, right? So we have the 369 and the 888 coming out, right? So unlike Hex, where basically everyone's value was greatly inflated on that day from staking, on that day 369, that is the day when the supply it will be at its highest. And after that day, once the buy and bird starts again, the deflation will accelerate. So, and it's the same way the T-share chart. Do you remember when the T-share chart jumped after that?
That's right. Let me pull
it's going to be the same thing, but it's going to be with the DragonX supply. It'll be the inverse of that. So you'll see the supply drop and never recover effectively, and will only continue. See, there it is.
This one.
So for you DragonX guys that aren't familiar with Hex, you can see some of the heritage here that informed my thinking about DragonX, right? So this day was big payday, and after this day, it became very, very difficult to get the same number of T-shares because everyone staked in the short term. Okay, and after they ended those stakes, they effectively burned those shares, and the share rate ratcheted up to a higher level. So
a couple thoughts on this. You're saying that there's a 369 day and a 808 something 200. How many other days?
2 days. Yeah, there's October 30th, 2024, and then a year later there's another day.
Okay, so October of this year and October of next year, you're going to get this type of response from the system of DragonX, where it gets scarce really quickly, right? Is that my problem? Okay, cool. You also made me realize that you started the stream when we were talking about Hex, about what kind of thing it would take to ignite the system. Well, what would ignite it more than the OA coming in and doing one of these types of moves on the T-share rate again?
So it would come in, stake massively, and then end stake?
It would stake the entire supply in one day and then remove it on the next day, and it would just shoot the freaking thing up again. I think maybe not to the same degree, but
not to the same degree. But still, I mean, there's enough tokens there, right? Like, yeah, I mean, that's part of the reason why that's so big is because the OA came in on that day.
That's right.
You know, so it's a good point. Like, if the OA could do some, I mean, he might as well, right? Like, he's already been risk of jail for it, you know.
Yeah. Like
he was trying to be decentralized, but I mean, he might as well go in and just obliterate the number of shares. That'll be epic.
What a better way to signal to the market, like, you know, you guys messed up. You should have staked. You had 3 years to stake. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So not to cut you off on that. So you were talking about how DragonX are going to have these similar types of scarcity events.
Exactly. Yeah. So DragonX is like the T-shares of TitanX. They're always going down the number you can get, and it's just so powerful, man. Like, because, and the other thing about DragonX is that the entire supply is on the market all the time. So when you're looking at that chart, you're looking at something that is in essence a little bit more real, because some shark can't come out of the staking pool and just start dumping for days and weeks on end like it used to be. You know?
Can you make a analytics page that shows us the supply over time, or do you have that somewhere for DragonX?
We need to get that. Mike Dean has a really sick TitanX Hub Pro, and that has a bunch of analytics, but it doesn't have that yet. So we need to get that to you guys.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Yeah, because then being it for the nerds like me, like we like to look at the supply change over time.
Yeah. And you know, we also have this new protocol that's launching in early September for DragonX. And the idea is that outside of that 369 and outside of that 888, we want perpetual burning, right? We want like what Pulsechain has, where there's revenue coming in and it's burning that token. And so what we're going to do is we're going to basically have a mining platform. People will come in and mine with TitanX. They're going to get an ROI on that, similar to Hyper, because So there won't be any early adopter bonuses. There won't be any bonuses whatsoever. So people can come in at any point and they can get a good mining ROI. So we want it to be something that people compound into. But when they compound into it, that Titan X, some of it goes to the Dragon X vault and some of it directly buys and burns Dragon X off the market. So basically, Dragon X is accruing value from any adoption that protocol has.
Sure.
A lot like Pulsex. So it's kind of like Dragon X has like Pulsex and Hex mechanics in it.
Yeah, I think that that's smart. And anytime that you're putting a volume component in there, then like it's going to be reflective of what the market's actually doing. So I think that's smart for sure.
Yeah,
I think more tokens should have a volume component to them with their rate of burn and stuff and of that nature.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that sounds great. Let's see what else we want to chat about.
Yeah, what's on your mind?
Anything
that you know of that's being built on Pulsechain? I mean, did I answer any questions? Are there any open questions about the game that I can answer for you?
Oh, I'm sure people I don't know how much is publicly released yet. I'm sure you could just do like whatever you can say. I don't know what you have the past to say, but like, what is the game? How does it work? What's the end goal with it?
Yeah. So it's been announced already that it is a crash game, which is the most popular game in gaming, effectively, in online gaming, and it's really cool. It has a very unique design. We have a brilliant animator, really good designer, and the way it's being done is a lot of it's done on chain. So basically, it's a self-custody version of this, whereas a lot of these platforms are not really decentralized. They might use crypto, but you're still, submitting tokens to a wallet that ultimately you don't control. But all the control is still maintained within the system and validated by contracts. So an oracle effectively communicates with the contracts to ensure that everything is done properly. But yeah, it's effectively an on-chain. It's on-chain. So the value that comes out of this is directly accrues on-chain, and that can be used to buy and burn tokens that the Sawdust community wants burned. Mm-hmm. One of those tokens is incentive token. You could see that being burned, and that could drive up the returns for everyone in those pools. It could be huge for Pulsechain, right?
Yeah, I think that there's a certain element of a thought process of like, look, if you're a holder of SolidX, for example, and this system, this game is constantly buying and burning the SolidX token and increasing the value of it. If you're a gambler yourself and you're playing on the game and you're losing, at least your SolidX holdings are increasing in value at the same time, right? So that you can kind of combat any short-term losses you might have from the game. So it's a for those that don't know, the crash game is basically like you at the beginning of the game, you decide to make a bet. You put in a certain amount of crypto, and this is going to be multi-chain. So you're not going to be locked into just Pulsechain. You can be on other EVMs as well, I believe, right?
Yep.
And you go in here, you connect your wallet, you make a bet, and then the round starts, and then there's a timer that starts, and you start at like 0.1x, and then it just goes up over like every second it's ticking up like 0.5x, 1x, 2x, 3x, and at some randomized point the game busts, and if you didn't take your bet out on an X before that, you lose your position, and then you have to try again. But it's super fast, the rounds are quick, and there's potential there. I've seen some rounds get up to like 30, 40, 50x. You could put in $100 and you could 30x your money in minutes. So I think it's going to be a really addicting and simple. Anybody can play it. It's super popular. This is an adaptation of the Crash game. I don't know if we've announced the name yet or not. I think, did we announce the name yet?
I'm not sure. We can leave it up for now.
Yeah. So it's coming, and it's going to put a buy and burn on Ink token, which is important because Ink is just a straight inflationary token. So to be able to put a buy and burn on the coin that's incentivizing the bonding of liquidity on Pulsechain, that's a very powerful mechanic. And it's coming directly from the volume that's getting pushed through the game itself. And it's not just sourcing it from Pulsechain, it's sourcing it from other blockchains as well. So I think this is a very powerful concept of how to accrue, to bring value from other places into this chain and lock and burn it away forever.
Yeah. Once you start to open your mind to this idea of bringing in external capital, it opens up a lot of new ideas that you can bring to projects. Because I think we're just beyond like this idea of having like a closed token economic system and like just having game theory play out. I think the reality is like, if you look at the Hex clones, none of them really succeeded, right? And they didn't. And if it was all about game theory, blah 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 blah, then they might have succeeded, but they didn't. And it goes to show you that really there's other forces that are much larger at play. Particularly adoption being numero uno, but adoption is valuable because economic energy comes in, right? So
yeah,
I think people should look at,
yeah. So with that about adoption being a key component in terms of like Hex and what we've seen with that example, like of course, Hex is uniquely positioned to benefit from really big market makers coming in and turning on the switch for this cycle. Like all it's going to take is like a massive candle or protection creating price floors, and then some big green candles to really reset the sentiment. And that may come at the same time as you get like regulatory clarity on some of this stuff from the case and whatnot. But yeah, because Hex is uniquely positioned that it is backed by multiple multi-billionaires, that coin, it stands alone versus like the Hex clones, which were just started up by everyday guys. I think that maybe didn't have the kind of resources that OG Bitcoiners or Ethereans might have had. But it doesn't mean that we should shy away from trying out other ways to accrue value from other sources and bring adoption in from other ways. And so we're doing what we can. They are going to do what they're going to do when the time is right, but in the meantime, we could actually help set a better floor and amplify their outcome. So
yep. The one thing we are doing as part of this game is we're bringing in a partner called Accelar. I don't know if you're familiar with Accelar Network, but they're a cross-chain compatibility layer effectively. And when that is booted up, it will be it will take some development work, but when that's booted up, we will effectively have a new way of bridging value into Pulsechain that's very, very seamless. If you've ever used Squid Router or any Accelar apps, it's like magic, really. You can swap directly between chains. It's very, very fast, very low slippage, very efficient. So that will open up new use cases for bringing value into Pulsechain that have not yet been built. There could be new games. There could be new DeFi protocols that are cross-chain, wallets, swappers, lending, or maybe you can collateralize stuff on. You could even do like a cross-chain farm that had Pulsechain assets in there. You could create a cross-chain farm for eHex. All kinds of different things. The people wouldn't even need to really leave Ethereum to use it. So there's a lot of use cases that will be opened up for Pulsechain when we get that on.
Yeah, this would be one of the parts in the stream where we'll say very little, but this is probably one of the most important things that's being developed. And like the ability to have seamless cross-chain fluidity and less friction and instantaneously is infinite in its downstream effects of the value that it could bring to any chain. And so like that's a really amazing prospect to be able to have that ability. And I think the tech is not just so simple as just like a bridge, right? It's a totally different type of code base. So it's I've learned a little bit about it in the background, but that this was because you talked to Firewhale, and Firewhale told me about it, and I'm like, wow, that's just pretty amazing. So yeah, I'm excited to see what that kind of, because like, look, we can set you could start it, you could create it and start it for Pulsechain, and then like everyone else can come in behind you and build on top of it. That's pretty cool.
Exactly. Yeah, it's Accelar. We are actually probably going to have to build the support out ourselves manually because we've had a lot of discussions with them, and honestly, Pulsechain is not very big right now, so there isn't a lot of reason. But they're going to be launching some SDKs in the fall that will allow anybody to add any chain to Accelar. So the game itself will have cross-chain across all chains with Pulsechain, but if you're on Pulsechain, you'll be able to simply switch to it. So we'll handle the manual switching between chains.
Amazing.
But then eventually we will bring Accelerate to Pulsechain natively is the goal. But that will come a little bit later. So it will be a bit distinct at first, just because there's this technical barrier, but then that will get broken down.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And yeah, that's another thing that's like, we don't know. The infrastructure on Pulsechain is lacking right now. So like, it's hard to bring these technology in just like right off the rip. And that begs the question of like, what is Richard and Co doing right now? What are they building? What could they be working on to help, amplify the
Hopefully
technology?
they're building something.
Well, I would like to think they are. So
we'll
see.
I'd be interested in hearing about
it. Well, so here's the thing, guys, is like Richard's not going down without a fight. And what you see is not what you're going to get. Like just simple stuff like the block scanner not being that good right now, or having a hard time getting price feed data and stuff. If you're just little hangups, like that stuff's going to be smoothed out right when it needs to be. Like I know people are like pissed or whatever. They think that they got a half-baked chain, but the reality is, man, you got to get rid of the dead weight first, in my mind, and you got to get through the regulatory issues. You get through that stuff. Okay, now it's time to start getting back on stream, upgrading PulseX every day, upgrading the infrastructure every day. Like it can get, I think people are really going to be blown away about what Pulsechain does. It's going to really surprise a lot of people. Yeah, that's my speculation. I'll put it that way.
I hope so. Yeah, we're also bringing some additional infrastructure that will help. It's a different partner. I'm waiting for them to announce it, but it's going to be it's going to give you random number verification and Oracle and all kinds of other cool stuff.
What's your take on this random number generator thing that the Maria dev from the Tropa system is working on? Do you know anything about that?
I don't really get it. Like, I don't know if this is the same thing that Jack Levin's trying to do on his chain.
I don't know either. I'm just looking for answers.
The thing about random numbers is the way I understand it, and the way it's been explained to me by people that are smarter than me, is effectively you can't really have native random number generation because the nodes won't be able to achieve consensus, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like because each node will basically generate a different random number. So I don't really. It seems like a pretty intractable problem to me. Now there might be a tricky way of getting around that I'm just not aware of. Like maybe you can add another layer, or maybe you have special nodes that, like some kind of centralized node that handles that. But I don't know. I have no idea.
You're starting to connect some points in my head right now, like about the very little bit I understand about what he was talking about was that he's trying to handle the random number generation at the token level by creating tokens that are mintable in a random sort of way, where you have to put in X amount of token A, and then it spits out Y amount of tokens B, C, and D. And then some sort of Oracle can see the random output and from the tokens that was released from this contract, and then somehow create random number generation.
How is that truly random? Because the contract is running on the virtual machine.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely not an expert to be talking to it. I don't understand it, but I'm definitely want to see that this stuff gets solved, man. If we could do it first, that's great.
But I mean, luckily we won't need to do anything hokey pokey like what the Tropa dev is doing, because this provider will provide us with a verified random number generator that everyone can rely on.
Okay,
I mean, this partner is like almost as big as Chainlink in terms of the size of this enterprise that we're working with.
Cool.
So yeah, so it's going to be great for everybody.
Okay, so yeah, so it's already been solved, guys, and we just got to make the partnership.
Yeah, partnership will be announced once they've already got it working on Pulsechain testnet. So when it's on mainnet, we're going to have an announcement.
Cool. The chat's going wild. They're like, yeah, truly random numbers are hard. Computer science to solve. Yeah, especially on a network. Yeah. Hex Monkey, my dude, what's up?
Yes, the thing about a Tropa, man, is like, I appreciate the building and everything, but I also I do feel that there's an element of like, you need to have more people. Like, that's the thing, like volume is actually a huge part of success. Volume in the amount of weights you lift, the amount of cold calls you do, the amount of tweets you do. can't just keep cycling through the same group of people. It doesn't matter how novel or unique your game theory is, blah blah blah, right? Like, it's a numbers game in so many ways, and like Pulsechain just needs more users. It needs more active users. Like, you need to bring utility in to do that. So I think that they're creating cool stuff and everything, but like, there is no like infinite money hack where you're like building these things and they're all intertwining and suddenly you're all billionaires. Like, it just doesn't happen.
That's right.
Like, you need economic energy to go from A to B. That's reality. So
All
like,
that system can do as it stands is consolidate power in the hands of the few. That's how that system's set up. Because what happens is, let's say PDI goes to $1. Well, along that route, no matter how long it takes, people are going to dump along the way, and then that the only way it gets to $1 in pegs is if somebody absorbed all that at some level and holds it.
Yeah.
You know, and then they're the master of that system. And so you do need external forces to come in to breathe life into something. That's just natural, right? That's common sense. That's how nature works. You know?
Yeah. So, I mean, if I was the PDI people, I would build what my team is building for Titan X, which is Titan Farms. You familiar with Titan Farms?
Mm-mm.
It's like our answer to the Pulsex incentive token farm. So we're going to have a farm. It's going to have basically people put an LP and they get an incentive token.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's different about our farm is that it's a buy and burn farm. So all of the fees of all the LPs are harvested and used to buy and burn that token off the market.
Right. So this is kind of similar to how PTGC solved for it in some ways.
Is it?
Except that they're not there's no farm element. But my point is that just the base buy and burn and of the vault from
They're
the
harvesting
volume,
the LP
the volume.
fees, right?
They're harvesting the volume from the LP fees.
From the LP volume, yeah. So it's similar to that. So that token will have an intrinsic value based on the amount of volume that goes through the Titan X ecosystem.
That's right.
Now, you could do that for PDI. You just take all the P stables and whatever other P whatever you have, and you throw it in that farm, and then those fees go to buy and burn PDI, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which drags the entire ecosystem up.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be a cool thing for the Hex ecosystem.
What do you think it looks like, zooming out here, 10,000 foot view? What do you think it looks like in like a decade? And we have all of these parallel systems that are literally just buying and burning away supply of all this stuff.
I think for Titan X, I think it's going to be insanely bullish. I think for Pulsechain, you need to have those things built out. But, I mean, building, I really do believe building is like 30% of the game. So like, I think we're almost to the point of overbuilding with Titan X right now. Like we have so many projects being built. We need users. So you can have a very elaborate ecosystem that's built, but ultimately, if there are no new buyers, then you don't succeed. But assuming that, I mean, it can be very powerful over the long term, assuming that you have users come in, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's a bit of a fallacy to play the time game, because it doesn't take that long in crypto. If you have the marketing, if you have the weight of interest of the people behind you, retail behind you, like there's an element of like, we are in this to get rich kind of fast, right? I mean, look what Hex did in its first run. It went from nothing to 50 cents in a few years, right? So I think trying to bring that spirit back into a project and trying to bring that incitement back in is, you can pull forward a lot of those gains, through marketing.
Yeah, marketing is a huge element for sure. I don't want to give away all my secrets on stream, but yeah, this is an attention economy, and you have to have strategies for how you're going to grab people's attention. And I think that's something that we've solved with a protocol that I'm going to be launching not too far from now. It's an add-on for the Axis token. So yeah, I was thinking maybe if I could ask you to come back on with me next week on my channel, and we would do a live demo of the contract that lives and breathes on testnet now, and get your take on kind of how we're going to grab all that attention. How can we get new users into this ecosystem?
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I would love to do that.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm super excited about it. Been working on it since like March, I think. So
wow.
got an amazing dev. It's basically a team of 5 guys basically. But basically it's all the codes base has been written by one guy. It was his idea. So yeah, I'm super. These guys, I think I work with the smartest guys in Hex, and the most talented guys in Hex, and now I'm connecting with you, and it sounds like you're very talented as well. So I'm very excited to see where this could go in the future. So yes, I don't know how you connected with Firewell and all that, but man, I feel like really fortunate. That guy is a natural leader. He's a selfless guy. He's willing to build and work hard to bring value back home where it belongs. And yeah, I think we're all really lucky to have him be a part of this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, he's a super successful guy. He doesn't need to be doing this, So yeah, we're very lucky.
Yeah. Well, we're getting to an hour. We're a little over an hour in. Do you want to have any lasting thoughts as we wrap up?
No, I mean, just check out Dragon X. It's a culmination of a lot of things I learned from Hex, from being an Hex OG, and I think it's just for us, it's a bit easy, right? Because we're so small. We have a lot of games just trying to get Hexicans over, trying to get Titan X people and Zen people in. So we're playing a bit of an easier game than some other tokens, and hopefully that will help us with tailwinds.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely looking forward to building on the Pulsechain ecosystem in the future.
Yeah, I'm excited to see some of this stuff with the random number generator and the Axelar thing, and then the Solid X game. All this coming out, it's going to be. It sounds like you have a lot of irons in the fire, and hopefully it's not too much. If it is, let's just focus on one thing at a time. But if it's not too much to handle, then let's keep full steam ahead.
Oh yeah. No, we've always got too much going on, but just when you see opportunity everywhere and you have a team like we have, it's fun. It's really fun to build stuff. So
amazing. All right, guys.
Well, thanks, brother. I appreciate it. Do you want to end with anything on your end, like plugging your stuff, or?
I'm trying to think if there's anything important that I got to say. Yeah, I've had a long week of streams.
Cool.
Yesterday, I did a stream with the Project Pi guys. They are creating a liquid staking derivatives platform for Pulsechain, which is pretty cool. We need that. That's a multi-billion-dollar protocol. On like what was it? Not Liquidity, but there's a couple of them. Rocket Pool is one of them. Anyway, they exist on Ethereum and other chains as well, and these are multi-billion-dollar protocols. And so these guys are taking a stab at it. They've done a really good job making it a beautiful user experience on the front end, and then they're going to get audited on the back end. And so go check that stream out. It's on my channel, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you on my channel next week.
Sounds good.
Cool, guys.
I'm going to actually hang out on the stream to answer any questions from my people.
Sounds good.
So yeah, thank you again, man. I appreciate your time, and let's chat next week.
You bet. God bless, guys. Thank you so much. All right. Bye.
Folks, I'm going to do a 5-minute intermission. I'm going to go down and get something to drink real quick. But after that, I'll be back to hang out if you guys want to do questions. Let me post this. I want to do some Dragon X chart. I want to look at the Dragon X chart. I want to talk about the progress we're making. But I need to post this, and then I'm going to run 5 minutes to get a bit of food. So for those of you that are here now in chat, you can let other people know. One sec, guys. Okay, we're good to go. Sorry. I'm going to start looking through questions here. Yeah, we need a comparison video. Someone from the Hex community is building an explainer video for Dragon X. So that's coming actually. That is true. Price going up brings in new people, and yes, new economic energy is what drives it up 100%. You don't need any mechanics to have massive gains. Ouroboros will have stablecoin. I'm not sure if we need yet another stablecoin for Titanx. I agree. I don't think you should have a 10-year time horizon. I think you should expect more. You just need to make sure. It's just very hard to hit the super fast coins like the coins that like Pepe and these other ones. It's hard to hit them. I think about DeFi is a little more deterministic because you have buy and burn, you have steady user growth. What makes Dragon X go up more than Titan X? More than ETH? It's the liquidity, the amount of liquidity. They can also go down faster. It depends on the selling or buying. Hydra is an improvement, yet another improvement. I'm not sure how many people are actually watching this. Maybe everybody just left. How do I check that? $182 total views. So I don't know how many people are actually watching right now. I'm still going to go ahead and answer these questions though. Hydra is an improvement. It's an improvement even further. No staking because we don't want a staker class. We want even higher buy and burn. Titan Legends is doing OTC for Titan X. That's cool. Send me a link about that. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. I'm not sure if you're still in this chat, but I appreciate it. For 369, I mean, I suspect that a lot of people will buy in before 369 the same way the big payday. People stake before it to get it. So I expect that you'll see a tremendous run up in the price at that time. I don't know. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. No, I think it's good to have a lot of people trade with hybrid because it opens up the market, You want to have enough trading volume that you can actually exit. No one should have Dragon X Liquid, should all be in NFT form. I mean, that could be cool. But, Dragon X Liquid's pretty scarce anyway. So I'd rather focus my efforts on bringing new capital into Dragon X rather than additional hybrid mechanics. What is known so far? I'd have to look back at the conversations I've been having with the founder, but yeah, DragonX will be supported. He's doing a very thorough job. He's a very smart guy. It's impressive. It's not an easy protocol. He had a lot of checks in there that the original protocols didn't have. How much to allocate to a new protocol? I would hold your core DragonX position. If you have TitanX, this protocol will take TitanX. So if you have TitanX, then I would go in with that. Go in slow, check it out, try it for yourself. Don't ape in. But I would say core position would still be DragonX. Bridgeless. Yeah, it's bridgeless. It uses a different network called Accelar to validate the transactions. I mean, yeah, you're using a separate protocol. Maybe that is the same as a bridge underneath. Except you're not using a separate network. I think you're making calls between the two networks, so it's a bit different. Yes, we need massive hype. Agreed, completely. I feel that DragonX is at the tipping point. Like, I think we need, there could be another impulse. A big buyer could come in. I'm thinking if I keep streaming and I keep promoting it, I think eventually a big buyer will come in and they won't be able to resist. I mean, I think we saw the biggest buy ever the other day, which was 40,000 in one buy. It's really significant. But as more and more things get released by Titan, built on DragonX, I think people will ultimately start to capitulate into DragonX. That's what I think. Just because there's so few people who are in it right now compared to the outside of it. Loving these questions, guys. Thank you. Keep them coming. Will Titan Farms have DragonX or maybe a new protocol single pool? I'm not sure if we're going to have single-sided staking. I believe we have the option in the contracts. I need to double check that, but I think you could have it. The thing is, you don't really want people to get tokens for having that token. I would prefer people have other tokens and get the incentive token for that personally. Because then they're generating fees, which buy and burn the token. They buy and burn the incentive token with fees. I don't have an idea. It's very close as well. I've been saying that for a while now, though. So, the dev is a smart guy, but he has other things going on. It's not his full-time thing. So, he has some very interesting partnerships potential for TitanX, which I won't get into, but the man is very well connected. What's the view on Pulsar? I think Pulsar is going to be good. We've had some DragonX Vault discussions, which is very bullish. They're one of the protocols that may integrate with DragonX Vault. Along with, so there's X28, Flux, Volt, Pulsar, the new protocol. So at least five protocols are going to be integrating with the DragonX Vault that are not integrated right now. So think about that. That's not well understood, I would say, or well appreciated. People are still looking at the $3 million payout for the 369, but it could be more. We'll see. Could be less too. No, I don't really know. Don't really know. All you need to worry about with 369 is that there's going to be less and less Dragon X available each day because of the deflationary mechanics. So that's how we turn this thing into a store of value, you know, supply and demand. I personally think Dragon X is a hold until the peak bull. But obviously taking profits on 369 is a good idea. Don't be greedy, pull your initial out. You know, I have personal bags of Dragon X, and I'm going to take profits on the 369. So like, don't be afraid to take some profits. You know, we're all in this together to make money. It's totally fine to make money on Dragon X. Ultimately, nobody has so much of the supply that the project can be destroyed. That's one cool thing about Dragon X. Like, Genesis only has 8%. It's really not that much. You know, I mean, we could dump everything and then that would be it. And then the buying birds are all going to keep working forever. So that's kind of an underappreciated part of this, is like the biggest holder has 8%. You know, that's really not a lot. Sure, you can do some damage on the chart for a while, but then you're out. Also, there are plenty of intelligent ways to exit without damaging the price chart or momentum. Probably 88 days. 88 days. Like I said, it's for buy bird duration. It's kind of TBD. No rush. Just know that there'll be less Dragon X on the market after that every day. But it's kind of slept on, this protocol, because that's what I love about it, is people are looking at the 369, but there's going to be a bunch of things between now and the 369 that are going to put a ton of buy pressure on Dragon X. So the picture going into 369 is going to be super bullish. It's crazy to me how few users we have. It's really crazy to me. It goes to show you how just the markets are still totally dead. Like they're just dead. So what we got here. Not sure what you mean here. Do real world marketing. You do real world marketing like Hex did. I don't think it was very effective, man. Like Hex blew up through word of mouth and the internet. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thanks, brother. I appreciate that a lot, Johnny. Thank you. That means a lot, man. Thank you for being part of this whole crazy experiment. And thank you for taking a chance on Dragon X. Well, that was some great comments, guys. I really appreciate that. I'm beginning to doubt our live viewer numbers. If you would subscribe to my YouTube channel, that would be rather helpful. Keep the questions coming, guys. These are good questions. I'm going to go over to my channel real quick and just check. 61 are currently watching, which is solid. 61 people. I don't know, you know, I really enjoy this. Like, I don't know why other founders don't do this more. Because 61 people still, I mean, imagine 61 people in a room. Like, that to me is valuable. Because ultimately these kind of things, they start small, and then that kernel of people, that they tell other people, right? So I believe in respecting you guys in the early stages, because I know that you'll tell other people about Dragon X and make it bigger, right? Like, I think you have to bring it back to real world terms, right? Like if you were getting 60 people in a room every single day to talk about something, that can compound quickly. I don't underestimate that at all. Mhm. No ETH required. Only Titan X required. The mistakes of the past will be absolved and removed. We will be using Liquid Titan X. So really, I mean, what other choice do you have? This is going to be the best protocol, the best mining protocol, because you use Titan X for it. Like the best thing that uses Titan X will be this protocol, in my opinion. I'm trying to think of what else. Now, I think that this is the culmination of everything Jake's learned and everything I've learned in one protocol, bonded to Dragon X. I don't know why you'd go anywhere else for your mining. So I think Hyper is going to get smoked. I think other mining protocols are going to get smoked. And I think that this will be the place where people mine now, and it's tethered to Dragon X. So people don't recognize how much economic energy can come into Dragon X through this thing. It could be equivalent to like all the cumulative economic energy that's been put into Dragon X so far. You know, like it's just going to keep going and going. It's going to be great. If ETH stay on these levels, you're still going to start burn holders on. There's no point to hold ETH rising because the burn is not determined by the price of ETH. The burn is determined by the ratio in the pool, which is distinct from Ethereum price. So imagine you have a scale. Okay, imagine you have a scale. You have 10 balls on one side, you have 10 triangles on one side, and 10 squares on the other. Okay. Now, it doesn't matter what color the squares are. It doesn't matter what color the triangles are. It's the weight between them that matters. That's how liquidity pools work, because it's the number of tokens that are bonded that are what determine the amount you get when you swap. So you have this external thing, which is like other oracles or other LPs that determine the price of ETH. But the price of Titan X is the amount of Titan X you get for the ETH is determined by the pool. So you can call whatever sides you want. You can call the sides whatever you want. You can call it $1,000 or $10,000, but it's still the same ratio. Yeah, it came off as a bit scammy, I would say, but that's just people's ignorance too. People think everything's a scam. People thought Bitcoin was a scam. People think normies think everything is a scam. It's just I don't know why normies think this, but like they're obsessed with scams, conspiracy theories. You know, I don't understand it. People pattern match incredibly badly, and I'm also totally guilty of that. But yeah, there's some really bad pattern matching going on. I don't understand some people. It's a defensive mechanism, basically, I think, so that people don't need to change or open their minds. Ultimately, it's easier to poo-poo something away than to have to exert cognitive energy to understand why something is valuable. That's why people chase green candles, because like number go up is just so viscerally obvious, whereas underlying fundamentals or things that would have driven the price beforehand aren't really easily understandable, and they require like type 2 thinking of like slowing down and like thinking through something. I mean, in general, human beings tend to react to second order consequences instead of like perceiving them beforehand. So like if you look at the medical system, it's all about like helping people after they've fucked their bodies up for like decades, instead of like oh, if you don't exercise, if you don't eat well, blah blah blah, like in 20 years it's going to show up, but people don't like process that. It's not in our instinctive nature, like, because that's not our evolutionary hardwiring. I think that's a good point. Maybe Mike Dean is watching this. Someone should message Mike Dean in the chat and say that. Yeah, they could put the Dragon X logo on there. Yes, it is, and I think most people haven't woken up to it. I suspect they will wake up too late to it, per usual. Let's get more people in YouTube, because I can't tell if it's live viewers or what on Twitter. I go over here, and it says 210 views. But is that 210 total views or 210 live views? I really don't know. It's a mystery to me. Before we take more questions, so you guys keep asking questions, but let them pile up. Let's look at the Dragon X chart. So the volume's a lot lower. We're still on our crazy 10,000x journey here, according to these boxes. Not financial advice, but I had a big seller come in, sell 10K a little while ago. They're out of Dragon X now, which is great. I mean, chart looks good. I think we'll see one more bump up at some point. I'm not sure what news can trigger this. I think probably the run up to the new protocol launch will be the push into the next 10x level, I would say. Until then, we'll probably grind higher. Might have a couple of red candle days in there, which is fine with me. Like, we need to think a little bit long term, which is totally cool. We're not talking about decades here. We're talking about like a year. I agree, man. I would say that Dragon X is a great place to be. It's becoming the central axis of the entire Titan X ecosystem. So, from my opinion, it's a solid play. Now, it's not financial advice. Personally, I'm completely in Dragon X. Like, I've ate my entire Titan X bag into Dragon X, which is good. I'm going to go over to Pulsechain. I'm going to check my communist airdrop, and that's probably going into Dragon X too. Sorry, guys. Yeah, we will have a new protocol to compound Dragon X. No, it's fine. I'm not disappointed. It's 369 will probably be more of an establishing of a new price range rather than like a massive green candle event, because people will probably pour the money in before. Plus, this new protocol is going to come up before the 369, which will pour more money in. So 369 you'll probably see you'll see bullish action probably, and also a lot of heavy selling. I think it'll probably net out, and you'll probably see that be a new price floor, which is fantastic. Like, who doesn't want a price floor 10x higher than this? That would be fantastic. So 61 live watching. So does that mean that there's no live on Twitter, and that's just the number of accrued views? Nice transit. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I hope this has some informative aspects to it. Well, people are going to exit Marv. I mean, it's not really stopping the run up. Like, we're grinding higher. It's great. I'm not worried. Like, Dragon X is deflationary, you know, like let people sell it, let it get burned through. Let's set a higher and higher price was like Bitcoin. You know, that's what I want. I want Dragon X to perform like Bitcoin, like it just goes through various cycles and stages of adoption, and you know, we always are just kind of, you're getting price levels that are just higher and higher over time. You know, the thing is, you know, that person is smart. They're exiting without smashing the chart. Right? No one likes to see a chart get destroyed. So good for them. They're good at using LP. And I'm glad I'm glad they have got what they want out of the system, and now they can take profits. I would say post-election results. That's when the bull market's going to get preserved. I don't think Kamala. I mean, I used to think Kamala would win, but now I'm thinking that with RFK behind Trump, like, I don't think anyone who's a truly sensible person who's not brainwashed is going to vote for Kamala. Is going to vote for Kamala. Like, even if they don't vote for Trump, I just don't think the voter turnout will be there. This woman she's just not a like, she's kind of repulsive in terms of like her, she doesn't say anything of value. She's just a talking head. I mean, this is like really Orwellian stuff, to have someone who's so vapid be the presidential nominee. Like, I mean, it's like George Bush. It's even worse than George Bush. George Bush Jr. was like a freaking idiot. Yeah, Mike, the people want to see who's using the Dragon X ball, like by some kind of symbol. And the people also want to see a supply burn down chart for Dragon X, but I think we already talked about that. Yeah, spank the like. That would be cool. 1 second, I'm going to drink more water. Mike Dean, if you have anything to present, you can come on the stream. Or if Mike Dean, if you happen to know if the Twitter live situation is interesting, I'd like to kind of know how many people are actually live on this. Look at this. Mike Dean is building stuff. You guys are asking when Mike Dean is building stuff. I think the market will tank hard if Kamala wins. These people hate Bitcoin. They hate technology. They hate progress. Like, these people, what do they represent? I don't even know what these people represent. They're literally like, they represent a set of ideals which entrench the party effectively. Like, their entire philosophy revolves around party power. They're basically a collection of mostly fucked up ideologies that support this parasitic political class whose only purpose is to further the party's like advancement. So like, oh, we need black voters, so let's just pander to them. Oh, we need gay voters, we'll pander to them. They have Wall Street too, like, so they'll just crush crypto, and you know, to do that, like, or if people are scared, they jump on that, right? So people are scared of guns, so they jump on that because we need to get more. So it's just like this party accrual. Like, these people don't give a fuck about any of the serious issues. Like, climate crisis is a crisis because they need more things to make people scared to accrue more power to them. You know, like they just want to accrue as much power into this party as possible and obliterate free speech and do all kinds of shitty things. I mean, the neocons were bad like this. This is like the liberal version of the neocons is like what we're dealing with right now. Nice, man. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Take your own risks. You know, this could fail at any time, but I appreciate that you're enjoying all the different stuff that's being built. It changes on a moment by moment basis as the two prices basically get traded. How does Kamala affect Titanix and DragonX? Not, I mean, directly. Risk assets all move. That's why when people say, "Oh, don't talk about politics," it's like, well, if risk assets get obliterated because of Kamala, then yeah, it's not good. So that's why you wouldn't. That's why you would be vocal. Also, it's my Twitter account. If I think something's stupid, I'm going to say it because it's my Twitter account. So it's not really. I mean, I'm a crypto founder, so like, it's mostly crypto stuff. But if I see something beautiful or cool or interesting or repulsive, and I want to call it out, then I just also do that on my Twitter because it's my personal. Not to share with me. It's not useless because you lock in the share rate. So I'm not sure what you mean by that. The share rate's locked in for 3,500. It's more efficient. Sweet. Let me know if you want me to make an appearance. What time is that, Mike? Oh, the AMA is starting. The community AMA is starting soon. So I'll probably jump off in 5 minutes to go. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I appreciate a good conspiracy theory as much as the next guy. At the same time, what did I say? Conspiracy theories are a trap, dude. There's lots of conspiracies that are true. Focus on the true ones. They're censoring free speech like crazy. They're putting fluoride in the water, which is making you dumber, which made you dumber as a child. They're fighting wars that you have no place to be in. They're taking all the money. There's so many conspiracies, dude. Google is shadow banning people. They're siphoning off all your data. They have backdoors in everything. They're trampling on the Constitution on a daily basis. Like, you don't even need to go to these conspiracies. Like, there was literally an island these people used to fly to do horrific things. Like, it's all obvious. It's just that people are too in their own worlds. And things just haven't gotten bad enough yet. When they get bad enough, then people will change. Amen, dude. I appreciate that. How many devs? Guess. Guess how many devs? It's about quality, not quantity. Speaking of which, let me check the dev chat real quick. Okay, sorry, just dev chat. Yeah, bro. I mean, I appreciate that, Jess. Sorry, not a bro. I like streaming. I like hanging out with you guys. 66 people. I mean, we have some X people here. Yeah, man. Like, I like talking to you guys. I like answering your questions. I hope these are informative. Um, it's fun for me. Let's get to the bull market. Yeah, it's going to be called Hydra. I think we've basically released all the information verbally by now. I don't know. Are we going to do a white paper? It's basically a more finely tuned hyper, but integrated into DragonX for higher price performance. Like you just, from your perspective, all you need to know is like it's going to be the place to mine if you want to use your DragonX for mining. I think Eastern. Well, we're at 2 hours. Titan X is the entry ticket. Dragon X accrues the value. Dragon X is bought and burned. Does that make sense? You can see how how bullish that can be for Dragon X, right? People are slow in the bull market, in the bear market. People are so slow to move. Oh my gosh. I mean, you guys are lucky, I guess, because you're in now. Thanks, man. I'm enjoying them too. Entry ticket into the new compounding protocol is Titan X, of course. That's optimal. You see, you don't need Ethereum to play with something bonded to Dragon X because we have the Dragon X Vault. The Dragon X Vault brings in Ethereum to buy and burn Titan X. So you can play with Titan X. Yeah, of course, if there's no Titan X left, then mining will stop. But if there's no Titan X left, then that means that there is a lot of price, probably a lot of value to Titan X. So it's not really an issue. It slowly becomes more expensive, but it's very gradual. We don't really want the system to peter out or to become concentrated in early adopters. It's supposed to be a compounding protocol. Thank you, Nathalie. What you can do to help is to bring more people in, get them interested. Bring them in and get them interested. Hyper is not the old Shogun. X28 is Shogun plus basically Titan Blaze in one protocol with more stuff cross chain. Thank you, appreciate that. I mean, 65 is still viewing. It's 2 hours till 11 p.m. here. I mean, I'm pretty cooked, but if you guys have questions, it's probably where I can be most of service at this level of wakefulness anyway. So, did Plan A's AMA start yet? Plan A. I don't see the I don't see the I thought we had plan A coming up. No? Did that already pass? Oh, it's already over. Guys, what happened with RFK? Did he already say his thing? Someone messaged. What happened in chat? I think participation could be higher due to Hyper now using ETH. Using ETH exactly. So we are like the Hyper everyone wanted. You know, there's a huge amount of value in building for Titan X coins. I'm telling you, there's so much value in this. This thing is going to be the best place to play with your Titan X. I don't see what else would you play with. So. It'll probably be bootstrapped from miners like the other protocols were. I'm not sure what Genesis. I don't think we're going to have a Genesis reward for this, but maybe we will. It's better to just have as much burning as possible at this stage. You know, DragonX Genesis accrues from the staking rewards, from the mining rewards of Titan X. So this benefits that. That's good enough. Yeah, of course, Dapo. No worries, man. Thank you for taking an interest. I enjoy hanging out with you guys. Does anybody know what happened with RFK? Tell me he endorsed Trump, please. Did he do it? It should have happened at 11 a.m. Eastern, right? Oh, 11 a.m. Pacific. Gotcha. The 4 p.m. Eastern? Yeah, I'm not even that like pro-Trump or anything, but I just really don't want to see these other people. I mean, it'd be really cool to have Elon Musk in the government. Like, how can anyone vote against that? I don't know what's wrong with these people. I have ideas. Yep, I definitely have ideas. I would love Pulsechain support for X28. That would be really good. I could see us doing something there. What's up, Tom? Tam? Nope. I mean, I'm biased, but you have 6 protocols building on DragonX. So one thing I would say is Pulsar. If you're a Pulsechain guy, it might be interesting. Check out Pulsar. Ouroboros. Okay, that one uses your existing DragonX. Titan Farms uses your existing DragonX. X28 if you want to exit stakes. Okay, so yes, there are 4 protocols that I would say are worth participating in outside of DragonX. But if you want to participate at a more experimental level or at a compounding level or ROI, I would say your best bet is Liquid DragonX plus trying out this compounding protocol and seeing if it suits your liking. I wouldn't go anywhere else to play, if that makes sense. So X28 for stakes, Ouroboros for lending, Titan Farms for liquidity, and what was the other one? One more. Nobody knows X's lake. Nobody knows X's. What you can say is it's leveraged because of the liquidity bonded and then the buy and burn coming in. The 2000 ETH coming in. It's not necessary. I mean, there's OpenSea. No, it's going to be sweet the way it is. Just make the OpenSea market more liquid, Exile. That's the number one way. Shill the product. Like, there's only so many ways that you can build your way out of problems. It's like a workout. Like, there's only so much efficiency you can get out of like optimizing your workout on paper before you're like, okay, just do more of the same thing, you know? That's like building. It's like, okay, you build your workout and then you need to do it a lot of times over and over, right? So like, that's where the magic is actually in the repetition and the volume. That's what people don't get. That's why I do big streams. That's why I'm streaming with everybody, because the magic is in the volume. People think it's in the mechanics. Like, the reason why Hex did a 10,000x is not because of its game changing blah 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 blah. It's because Richard streamed for 2 years for nonstop. 2 years for nonstop for 2 years. Okay. I mean, he already designed Hex, like it was done. Yeah, we already have a logo. We already have the website. I mean, it's just a matter of integrating it. Like, there'll probably be some reskinning and stuff, but you know, Jake is grinding on the front end, and we'll skin it to our liking. Yeah, for sure, Hexile, no worries. I'm gonna get some more water, guys. Keep the questions coming, guys. These are really good. $67 viewers. I do wish I had an accurate count via X. Can anyone confirm whether the X views are current views or? I don't think Twitter's giving me the right numbers. I think Twitter's juicing the numbers. Do you need a white paper? There was Titan X, there was Hyper, now there's Hydra. It's the same. It's mining. It's a mining protocol. The internal mechanics around how that value accrues to DragonX are almost like unnecessary. I suppose we should codify it into some kind of document. Thank you, man. Yeah, it's good. What else you got, guys? So far, good questions. Guys, here's what you can do. If you have people who are crypto savvy and they want to get into crypto, tell them about DragonX. I'm not saying ape in everything you have, blah, 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 world changing global reserve currency, but if they take an interest in crypto, if they understand risks, if they understand responsibility, and they understand, everything that comes with crypto investing, then I do think Dragon X is a solid token. I'm not saying that just because I created it. Like, if I was in this ecosystem as a person, I would be focused on Dragon X stuff. I see a lot of potential here. Now, we need a lot more marketing. We need a lot more eyeballs. But from a sheer setup perspective, I think Dragon X checks above as many boxes as you're going to get out of any DeFi protocol in this entire bull market. The level of building around Dragon X is pretty intense. 6 protocols integrating it. There's also another secret thing that I'm working on, which only you guys now who are watching live are going to know about. But it's top secret. Actually, there are I'm working on 2 top secret things right now. I won't divulge anything about it, but only the 56 people who are watching this now know that I have, in addition to everything that's been publicly announced, 2 separate initiatives for Dragon X. Because, this is a lot you can do when you have a platform like this. Continue to expand it. White paper will help for adoption outside the community. Yes, probably. Me neither. Where did the ETH rewards in Hex go? I suspect they were used to take the chart up 10,000x. That would be my suspicion. Whereas in our ecosystem, everything's a bit more transparent, right? Like all the numbers are all there. You can see them. You can see kind of everything playing out right in front of your eyes. Whereas with Hex, it's like, did the OA buy? Did he not buy? Was that a real buyer? What was that? Was that him? Was that a new whale? I suspect a lot of the big whales in Hex were Richard, but we'll never know. I mean, he was pretty heavily insinuating on some of his streams that he was pumping the shit out of that chart, which is fine. That's good. I don't know, man. Why would I do something that hurts Dragon X? Like, think about it. Cool. I'm gonna call it. I'm exhausted. I forgot to eat dinner. I should get some food. Starving. All right, guys. I'm gonna eat some food. Take care of yourselves. No, I think it's gay. Sorry. Like, all those designer brands are run by pedophiles, dude. Fuck that. Buy crypto instead. Buy a passport. Buy a fucking gym membership. I'd rather travel. Yes, Exile, no worries, bro. No idea, bro. Yeah, no worries. Thank you, guys. Take care, everybody. I'm ending the stream. Thanks. Appreciate it. Peace.